How are you finding the Zoe stuff? Are the muffins disgusting or?
Yeah, I mean, I hate muffins anyway, and they're really sweet. And I had three for breakfast, then I had to fast for 4 hours, and now I've just eaten two.
Jesus.
And I
That's a
have to
lot.
fast for 2 hours and then do the finger prick test, a blood test, to see
Oh,
how my body's responding to fats.
yeah, okay.
Uh, and I've got a blood sugar sensor on my arm. You can't see it, and so it's tracking my blood sugars the whole time. It's really interesting.
My
Uh,
a lady that I trained from home is actually doing it as well. I think she started to do it on the weekend. She said it can become quite addictive because you can see like that.
yeah,
It shows you exactly like how it's impacting you. She says she just keeps looking at it.
I know it is. It is addictive, and also because this new one that I've got, the latest version, you don't have to scan it as long as it's your phone's near you
Mm.
by Bluetooth. It's automatically tracking the
Mm.
sensor, so I can see that in the middle of the night, between 3 and 4 a.m., my blood sugar's dipped
All right, okay.
into the red zone. That's quite common actually.
How long do you
Yeah.
have to do it for?
Well, the day of testing is just today, but the blood sugar sensor, you wear it for 2 weeks, and then
Right.
after today, I think they give you lots of different challenges, to see how you're responding. But it's good for me as an individual
Mm.
to see what foods are spiking my blood sugars,
Yeah, because then
and
I can manage
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly, and it's really relevant for our conversation today because blood sugar imbalance is really drives a lot of hormonal symptoms.
Symptoms. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm really
So
looking forward to it because it's there. I've heard of them and I know they're quite commonly talked about, but I don't know enough about them to kind of, have
yeah.
an opinion on. And I'm sure they're things that a lot of women go through. So um, I'll just reintroduce you and then
Okay.
pretty much get into it. It's going to be like, it's purely going to be me asking you questions and,
That's fine. I've made loads of notes, so I might need to refer to my notes. So
oh, that's all right. Brilliant. All right, guys, I have Helen on the podcast again. And the last time Helen and I did a podcast, we actually spoke about menopause and weight loss and everything around that topic. And today we're actually going to talk about PCOS. And I can never pronounce this right. Endometriosis.
that's right. Endometriosis.
That is
Correct.
right.
Yes.
So pretty much today, I'm going to be asking Helen a ton of questions about those two topics, so that hopefully by the end of the podcast, um, there's just a bit more knowledge around them and how to manage them and the signs for both of these, just to help women out there kind of, I guess, learn more about what they're potentially going through. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is PCOS, and I can actually pronounce that one, which is quite nice. But Helen, did you want to give us a rundown on what that is exactly?
Yes. So PCOS, that stands for polycystic ovary syndrome. So the clues in the name really, it means that you've got cysts and maybe multiple cysts on your ovaries. So the symptoms are that you could have irregular or no periods. You could, if you're trying to get pregnant, you might be finding it difficult, so it can affect fertility. One symptom is excessive facial and body hair growth, so you're feeling a bit hairy. Weight gain, um, thinning hair and hair loss. So obviously seems to be the opposite of excessive
Yeah,
facial and body hair, but that's sort of hair on your head.
right.
Oily skin and acne, alopecia, and higher levels of irritation and depression. So those are some of the symptoms. So you might not have all of them. You may have one of them. It's a syndrome. It's a collection of symptoms.
Right. Is there a certain age that these can potentially become a problem, so to speak, or you become more aware of them, or
Um, well, no, not really. I mean, they're to do with your menstrual cycle, so they tend to be noticeable in menstruating women. So obviously that is a huge,
Mm,
age span, isn't it? From when you start your periods
yeah.
until when you stop. when menopause hits. So not really. As far as I know, there isn't. And they're normally diagnosed by ultrasound scans and blood tests by doctors, that is. So yeah, it's a hormonal imbalance, and unlike endometriosis, which we're going to talk about, it seems to be an imbalance in the male hormone, so the androgens, the testosterone, which is why you've got some of the male symptoms, like excessive facial hair, body hair growth, and the irritability, aggression, I guess, are linked to higher testosterone or androgens. So yes, that's very simply put.
Yeah. Is it like, do you have to have multiple symptoms, so to speak, to be kind of, the right word isn't classified, but classified as PCOS, or is it just simply having potentially one of those and then going from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say. I mean, I don't know, because I mean, if you just had irregular or no periods, you may go and see a doctor. If you were trying to get pregnant, I think you would definitely seek help. Weight gain, I mean, that could be any number of things. Same with thinning hair and hair loss, oily skin and acne, that could be a number of things. So it's really difficult. So, it's possible that many women go undiagnosed, I imagine.
That's what I'm thinking, because if it, I know I've had irregular periods, so I guess a lot of the times you might not think that potentially this could lead to PCOS, unless maybe, if you were having hair loss or something a bit
Yeah,
more significant or
yeah.
impactful.
I mean, I'm not saying it leads to, but that's a symptom rather than a cause. So, I mean, irregular periods or no periods could be for a number of other issues, such as excessive stress, over exercising, not enough fat in the diet. It could be lots of things. So,
Yeah,
but it's really a symptom rather than a cause. So the things that seem to be causes or drivers are high levels of insulin. So this is why the blood sugar thing is important. So if you eat a diet, like a lot of people do, that's very high in sugar and starchy carbs, your blood sugars are all over the place. So your body has to produce insulin to get the sugar out of your blood where it's dangerous into your cells. And so if you're continuously eating a diet that's rich in all those sugars and especially the refined starches and the processed food, then if you've got high levels of insulin, you can eventually develop resistance to insulin resistance. And so this is quite common for ladies that have been or women that have been diagnosed with PCOS. A high proportion of them do have insulin resistance. So that is, I think, a key driver. So obviously that we can go on to talk about diet, but obviously that's a key pointer as to what you need to be doing with your diet, because insulin has a knock-on effect on lots of things. And another driver could be a thyroid problem, thyroid disease.
right.
Because your thyroid is responsible for your metabolism. I mean, all of these things are very complicated. So I'm talking at very, very high level. And then, nutrient deficiencies. If you haven't, our bodies, there's so many chemical processes going on all the time to convert one substance to another to create your hormones. Your body just doesn't produce estrogen. It goes through a whole series of chemical reactions, and all hormones start with cholesterol, and then they're converted to something else, that are converted to something else, to something else. So all of those conversions need enzymes to help the conversion. And all enzymes are protein, so you need protein, but also all enzymes need nutrients to be able to work. So that's why, a good diet, as well as, when we say healthy, it's very, very high level, but it's to get all of these nutrients that your body needs to keep these processes going. So common nutrient deficiencies for people with PCOS are vitamin D, a low level of vitamin D, and a lot of people living in this country have low vitamin D because we're in the northern hemisphere, and in the winter months, if you're not outside and not exposed to the sun, you're likely not getting enough. Zinc and iodine. So those are the common ones, and obviously zinc is related to skin as well, iodine, your thyroid. So yeah, body's complex. So these are just some of the common nutrient deficiencies that have been seen with people with PCOS.
It's crazy how much goes on within the body that we know about, but also that we don't know about. Like,
I
it's
know.
like, I find all the stuff really interesting because I think a lot of people wake up and they just think, right, I'm alive, I get to do all this stuff. But in reality, inside your body, there's so many chemical reactions or, hormones going on to make sure that you can live your life, that you are alive, that you are breathing, that you are thinking. And
Yeah,
there's so
absolutely.
much that goes into it.
And most people have got no idea about this. I mean, I saw something recently on social media. It was about menopause, but it's about hormones. And some woman was saying, "Oh, I didn't even really know what estrogen was." So so a lot of us are very ignorant even about our menstrual cycles and what hormones are, involved, I guess, for want of a better word. Estrogen, progesterone, and how they cycle, and when they're produced.
I
And that's at the basic level, without even worrying about how they got to be estrogen and progesterone in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, even within the menstrual cycle, like before I became a coach, I don't think that I probably would have, unless something maybe happened to me, delved into understanding what's actually going on in my body. But
Yeah,
as we spoke
absolutely.
about, like in the menopause podcast, is that like once you do a bit of work to understand what's going on, sometimes it can actually either make you feel a bit better about what you're feeling or how you're feeling, or at least allow you to, seek help. Because a lot of, the symptoms or like things that you're feeling or going through because of, hormonal imbalances, etc., can be managed. But until you kind of do a little bit of the work yourself or seek help, you kind of like live life as if, well, this is me now, just deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a bit of a shame that there's not more education for young girls, because I know just from my life, I'm an older woman now, but throughout my life, I always had very heavy periods and period pain. And I just thought, oh, well, I'll take some pills, that's me. But now I know, because obviously I've studied and I understand the body. Now I know that that means that's a sign of a hormonal imbalance to have period pain. We're talking about two more extreme conditions today, but just period pain, PMS, mood, all the mood and everything that goes with your period. That's not normal. I mean, it's a sign of something that's not quite right. It's not necessarily anything to be scared of. It doesn't mean anything bad's happening in your body. It just means there's a sign of some imbalance in your hormones. And, nobody's talking about that. Well, not many people anyway. So it's a
No.
shame. It's a shame there isn't the education.
And again, like when I was young, when I had my periods and I had really bad period pain, I was like, well, this is, again, I thought it was normal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. You think, oh, it's normal. I'll go and buy some Feminax or take some ibuprofen and then I'll be fine. And that's what you do.
Mm,
But nobody's digging deeper. And then the other point about PCOS is that there can be some genetic, susceptibility. So maybe some people that develop it, there's some kind of genetic changes that they've inherited, maybe. So
and I guess to people, because I once had a client who suffered with PCOS and it was really, really bad. Like she would be bedbound because of like the period pain and the bleeding.
yeah, yeah,
But again, I guess it's just like the period or menopause, like it must differ from person to person in terms of the degree in which they experience those symptoms. Uh,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I know a friend of mine, when she was younger, she was diagnosed with PCOS, and she was told that she should have her children early if she wants to have kids.
oh, really?
Yeah, and excess weight and obesity can impact, can mean that you're more susceptible, because that goes with the insulin and the blood sugar and lots of other things that are not working properly in the body.
Mm. So can I know I say PCOS and you say PCOS, don't you?
Well, I mean, I don't think it doesn't matter. We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, true. How can that have an impact on someone trying to lose weight? Could it potentially make their journey slightly harder compared to someone who isn't experiencing it? Or
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure what the answer to that is. We, I don't know. I mean, the key thing is that what you eat is going to be very important, and how you live your life. So the lifestyle factors, the exercise, the sleep, reducing stress. So we can run through those because they're
yeah.
probably similar also for endometriosis. But obviously the most important one is the blood sugar balance. So making sure that you're not eating too much sugar, too much processed food, too much junk food, refined carbs, and managing your blood sugar balance. So that is by obviously reducing those foods, but also making sure you're eating enough protein. Because
Mm,
if you do eat something sugary or starchy, if you eat protein with it, it kind of what's the word? The spike in your blood sugar is not so severe, so it kind of smooths that spike because protein takes longer to digest. So I'm not saying eat loads of sugar and stuff. It's best not to. But if you do have something like I've had these awful muffins at lunchtime, that apparently they've got protein in as well. But if you're eating some sweets, have a few nuts with it to call smooth the curve.
smooth the
But
curve.
blood sugar balance is absolutely fundamental to all hormonal issues.
Right. And then you also said like other things that they can be focusing on is making sure they
But
get enough sleep. Is that right?
yeah, so I mean, yeah, so sleep. I mean, sleep is so important for everybody.
Mm,
But also, people may not realize that if you don't have enough sleep, not only does it make it more difficult to lose weight and you're more likely to put on weight, but it's affecting the way your body works, and it's affecting your blood sugar balance as well. So if your blood sugar's imbalanced, it's a bit of a catch-22. If your blood sugar's imbalanced, you might not sleep throughout the night. You might be having blood sugar dips. When you've got a blood sugar dip in the middle of the night, your body produces a stress hormone, cortisol. And so then that could wake you up because, you suddenly got stress.
mm,
And if you've woken up and you've got all this stress hormone running around because it's pushing sugar into your blood, you might not be able to go back to sleep. So and then that can affect your body clock, your circadian rhythm.
mm.
So you might wake up and you've had disturbed sleep and you're not feeling hungry. It's just so complicated, but good sleep hygiene, good sleep is the pillar to a healthy life,
Yeah.
and managing stress. I mean, stress is just, stress comes in all forms. It's not just psychological stress, but managing stress, that is a key factor in knocking people's hormones out
Mm. It's all
because
connected, isn't
yeah, they're all connected. We're not supposed to be stressed all the time, you
it?
know. Um, yeah, and exercise as well. Getting exercise and the right kind of exercise. And this is your area. But for example, somebody that is over exercising is putting stress on their body.
Mm.
A lot of people might not think that or look at it like that. But somebody that's madly trying to lose weight and running every day, that's not really going to be any good for them.
No.
So,
And sometimes
um,
less is more in this case.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
and then there's other things from a diet perspective. So eating anti-inflammatory foods, so lots of, lovely colourful vegetables and fruits, which has the fibre in it, so you're getting the fibre. Um, if somebody's got acne and their skin's bad, it might be worthwhile trying to see if cutting out dairy makes a difference. See if that's aggravating that.
I
Making
think
sure you've got enough iron.
that's what I'm trying to do now because
Yeah.
my skin is like I've always got this tinge of red all the time and I actually get like hot flushes throughout the day, like really
Okay.
bad. I don't know if it's gonna help. But I was eating a lot of dairy, like a ridiculous amount. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and see if that has any sort of impact on, how. how many times I get the hot flushes or the constant red, because I can't remember the last time I didn't have like red cheeks or rosy
Oh,
cheeks.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
which
So
is
yeah, all of these things. Maybe reducing coffee. Do you
mm,
reduce coffee? Alcohol is obviously a big driver of all of these factors: blood sugar imbalance, the stress on the body, it's a stress on the liver.
mm,
So all of these things play a part. Plus, what people might not be thinking about is things that disrupt, excuse me, disrupt your hormones. We call them endocrine disruptors. So things like plastics,
right.
chemicals, so the chemicals that are in personal care products, like shampoos, face creams, makeup. A lot of
Yeah,
them have got sodium lauryl sulfate in, parabens. They are all toxic in the body. Your liver has to process them. And some of them mimic estrogen in the body. So that's why they're called endocrine disruptors, because they block the channels or the receptors in your body that are trying to get estrogen into your cells, and it
right.
could be blocked by some of the chemicals. So thinking about not like no reducing plastic, not having plastic water bottles, buying skincare products and household products, and shower gel that's eco, that's got no chemicals in, and you can buy them.
Mm.
And so all of those things make a big difference.
That's
Um,
interesting. I'll be honest, I probably my water bottle, I'll hang on to it for ages, and I know that's not right. Um, but even like I hadn't even thought about like the skincare products or like the shampoos and things like
yeah,
that having an impact on, on your hormones and on your skin.
well,
Um,
yeah, because a lot of these, I mentioned earlier that all the chemical processes that are going on and enzymes and conversions, a lot of it's happening in the liver. And your liver also, your liver's a very hard working organ, and
mm,
anything that's produced in the body has to be removed. So once your hormones have been used, they have to be removed. So again, there's processes in the liver that convert them into a form that you can excrete, by, through urine, stool, or your bile. But if your liver's not working, or you've got too many of these things,
mm,
these, endocrine disruptors, plastics, chemicals, and you're eating a poor diet that's not supporting the enzymes in the liver, your liver could be struggling, especially if you, binge drink
mm.
or overdo the alcohol now and again. Or, well, now and again is okay, but on a very regular basis. Oh
Not
no,
very good.
I'm not saying binge drinking is okay on a even now and then. Binge anything is the worst thing you can do.
Mm.
So
It's
yeah,
like all the stuff. So it's not just about weight loss. Like, do you know what I mean? Like making sure you exercise or making sure that you have a nutritious diet or you get enough sleep or
yeah,
you manage your stress in the best way. A lot of people just think about weight loss for those
yeah,
reasons, but clearly, like it's got a massive underlying impact on how you feel, your mood, your skin. Do you know what I mean? Like your
absolutely,
mental
absolutely.
health.
And if your liver's not working, you won't be able to lose weight because you want your liver to be burning fat,
Mm,
not struggling to process alcohol or anything else that it might be struggling with. So that's why it's a complex web. Everything's important. It's difficult to say this one thing is the most important thing to do, um, with a healthy diet and lifestyle, including sleep, not
mm.
over exercising, managing stress, all of those things.
I guess,
So
as long as you're prioritizing those things, you're doing absolutely everything you can to help manage, PCOS or just generally weight
yeah,
loss, just generally your health.
yeah, absolutely,
Making
absolutely.
sure that you do. And like I know, like you said, there's a lot of things to think about here, and it's not about trying to do everything at once or otherwise you're failing. But
Yeah,
everyone knows that movement and exercising makes them feel well, like good. They know that it will make them stronger. They know that eating a nutritious diet will make them like we've spoke about this before, but if you eat high processed foods or KFC, like I know what I
yeah,
feel like when I've finished. Like, yeah, it might have been delicious at the time, but as soon
yeah,
as I finish it, I just feel a bit shitty. So like just trying to make more conscious decisions about what people are putting into their body and how they're looking after their body will ultimately not only help them manage potentially PCOS, but just a general well-being.
Absolutely. And other conditions as well, low mood, anxiety, depression, lots of things. And if you do give it a try, do a couple of weeks or a month where you cut out all the junk, cut out all the sugar, or whatever it is that is your thing that, you tend to go to, or alcohol,
Mm,
then, if you will feel different. And when you start feeling different, and you suddenly realize, like the foggy brain or whatever, fuzzy head or whatever it is, has gone, you think, oh wow, that's amazing.
mm,
That fuzzy head's not normal. And then you make a choice, don't you? A conscious choice. Yeah, I'm going to have a KFC today, or whatever it is.
yeah,
And that maybe you'll be feeling a bit groggy afterwards, but you've made that choice. But unless you give it a try, you'll never know.
yeah,
You'll
of
never
course.
know.
I think we spoke about this again, but I used to be a fiend for Tang Fast. Is it Fangtastics? I don't know. Haribo's. They're like the sour
Oh
ones.
God, I know what you mean. Oh, I know. Oh my God, yeah.
I could honestly, I could just pull up to the shops, grab a bag, literally eat them all on the way home, no worries. Not even
I
full,
know.
not even sick. And I'm like, I don't know how I've done it, but like literally in the last 3 months, I don't do that anymore. I think the other day I went to the shops and I was like, I don't know, I just craved something a bit sugary. And I know it was just like an instant gratification thing. Like I could have just waited and it would have passed. But I was
Yeah.
like, well, I've not had some lollies in a while, but I didn't buy the bag. The corner shop had like you could pick just individual ones out.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
I only picked
Pick
like
and
five
mix.
of each. Yeah, which I thought was quite a good thing for me because in the past I've just gone for those lollies and I've done the whole bag. But I'm becoming more aware of like like we were speaking about the foods I put into my body, not from a weight loss perspective or anything like that, but just generally how it makes me feel. And I know
Yeah.
that eating a full bag of Fantastics might
Yeah.
be great for the first 5 minutes. I might have a bit of a high because I've got that instant energy, but I know that my mood and my energy is going to come crashing down like
Yeah.
with no time.
Absolutely.
It's like I can't believe how strong I've been because I used to bloody on a Friday treat myself to Doritos, chocolate, Fantastics, everything, and now I'm like they're not the things I look forward to anymore. I quite look forward to just making sure I'm fuel my body like in a good way. Not to say I never have them because I bloody do, but
Yeah. No, I
not in
get
that
that.
same
I,
quantity
I
anymore. Which
get that. Yeah. So you're making a choice, but you can reward yourself in a different way.
mm,
And that, if you are not doing that on every Friday or whenever you do it, then, your taste buds do regenerate every couple of weeks. And I've noticed throughout my life that my taste buds have changed a lot over the course of my life.
mm,
And who's to say whether that is part of aging, but it's also partly because your taste buds do regenerate. So if you stop eating the sugary things, then your taste buds adjust, and the blood sugar balance is important as well, because if you get those big highs and the spikes and the dips when you've had a bag of fantastics, you'll get the dip. So then you'll feel hungry and groggy and hangry and
mm.
moody. So that goes with the blood sugar drop.
Also,
Um,
if you don't have something as often, you really do look forward to it, and you feel
yeah,
like you're you're allowed to have it, so to speak. So now when I
yeah,
have some lollies,
absolutely.
I'm like, I don't really mind because I'm not having them every Friday. I'm not having a whole bag to myself. So it's a
Yeah,
bit like, I guess, a treat in a way.
yeah.
Um,
Well, that's fine. It's fine.
so
We're allowed to have treats. It's just don't eat them every day. So
yeah, yeah. I'm quite proud of myself for coming that far. And it sounds ridiculous, just about a bloody bag of lollies,
no,
but
it's good though. It's good, but you should reward yourself. You should. I mean, you should feel good about yourself for noticing the difference and being able to resist, because
yeah.
you made some progress. So you should be, congratulate yourself.
Oh, you know what? Sometimes, and there's been a few times where I've like maybe been a Friday night, and I'm like, oh, I'll just get a takeaway, and then I'm like, no, actually, I've got like food at home,
Yeah,
and I've eaten my food, and it's been bloody delicious, and I'm like, I'm so happy that I made that choice because
yeah,
I
yeah.
still enjoyed it. I don't feel groggy or shitty after it. I've saved money because I didn't waste 20 quid on bloody the Uber Eats.
Exactly.
And it's just trying to make those decisions, which like I try and talk about quite a lot, like for your future self. It's
Yes,
easy to quickly like make that decision based on hunger, or if you think I'll just have some lollies, or I'll just order that takeaway.
so
But
true, so
if you can
true.
kind of resist, it's one, you end up not eating shitty food that makes you feel shit, but also you feel really good about yourself for making a better decision.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
you do, and it's good. It's good, and that can just grow, can't it? So you'll feel more good. I don't know whether that's grammatically correct. More good, more often.
You know what? That would be correct to me because that's literally the way I talk. So, um, right. So we spoke about PCOS.
Yeah,
What is the difference between PCOS and endometriosis? So what?
endometriosis. So, well, they're different. So I mentioned that PCOS was, you've got cysts growing in your ovaries, and we talked about that. Endometriosis is a situation um, where your endometrium, so that is the lining of your uterus. So, when you have a period, it's the endometrium that sheds, that
Mhm.
causes the blood. So endometriosis is when something in the body causes that tissue, the endometrium, to grow outside of the uterus. So it's growing; those cells are growing somewhere else. So it could be anywhere. It could be in the bladder. It could be uh, in your bowel, in your fallopian tubes, but they're not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be, that tissue is supposed to be in your endometrium. And so what happens is these little cells, and they've gone somewhere else.
Mhm.
And then like when you have a period, they try and shed their own linings, because it's hormonal. And if that lining can't escape because they're not in the right place, they're in your fallopian tubes or your bladder or somewhere, then it creates cysts and scar tissue and adhesions, and it causes inflammation. So it's basically cells that are in your endometrium growing in the wrong place. And apparently it affects 10% of women of reproductive age, and can take an average 7 years to be diagnosed.
Really?
And usually, and I found out a few years ago that I had scars. I had to be investigated for something, and they did they put a microscope down into my, whatever you call it, camera down into my ovaries, and they found that I got scar tissue. So I'd had endometriosis when I was younger,
Right.
but it was never diagnosed. And one of the symptoms are pelvic pain. So especially during your period. So if you've got really, some people's pain is so bad that they can't do anything. They can't get out of bed. That they're just laid up for a few days.
Uh,
Um, so period pain, so pelvic pain and period pain, very heavy periods, pain during or after sex, pain when you're urinating, feeling sick, constipated, diarrhea. I mean, it could be IBS type symptoms.
mm,
And again, issues with fertility. So it affects fertility as well. So those are the symptoms. And unlike PCOS, which seems to be an imbalance in hormones, you've got more male hormones, so androgen, testosterone. Endometriosis seems to be mostly an estrogen, high estrogen levels, or they call it estrogen dominance. So
right.
it's an imbalance. So you've got too much estrogen versus progesterone, because everything needs to be in balance in the body. So it can be triggered by that, by stress, again, nutritional deficiencies, liver not working properly, so you're not getting rid of all the hormones. Like I said earlier, estrogen, when it's been used, has to be removed by the liver. If it's not being removed properly, it can be moving back into circulation in your body. So yeah, and if you're constipated as well, so you're not eliminating everything every day, everything's backing up. So yeah,
There's lots, isn't there? What?
yeah,
How did
and
you get to the point of knowing like, had you been experiencing some sort of symptoms for them to look further into, your scar tissue?
Oh, well, no, the reason why I was investigated was because I had some blood tests because I was feeling tired. This is probably about 10 years ago. And there's a marker that is a blood test that can indicate ovarian cancer. So they were worried that I had ovarian cancer. And I didn't have any symptoms of ovarian cancer, so I didn't really want them to investigate. But over 6 months, this marker, CA125, was really, really high. So
Right.
eventually, even though I felt fine, I said, go and have a look.
Yeah.
So they went and had a look and they didn't find anything, which is great, but
Mm.
they could see scar tissue from endometriosis. So I'd obviously had it,
Mm.
but obviously I'm postmenopausal now, so I don't have periods. So yeah, and I when I was researching, this subject before I spoke to you, I found out about something that I've never really heard of. But one of the things that can cause or contribute to endometriosis is something called retrograde menstruation. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, I haven't either, but apparently it's when your period, instead of flowing down and out, it
Right.
flows upwards.
Oh, okay.
So it's obviously, if it's going upwards and it's getting stuck in your sort of fallopian tubes and
Yeah.
everywhere, it's going in the wrong direction. And then so you're getting the similar thing, you've got that tissue that's not leaving the body and it's
Mm.
going into places that it shouldn't go.
That's crazy. I just would never have thought that could
And
happen.
I didn't know it was a thing either. So
It's
um,
interesting.
yeah, and genetics also can play a part. Yeah, prolonged stress. Um, yeah, yeah, it's not nice. It's really not nice.
No, I feel quite
Um,
like I've never experienced either of those things. So, the most I've ever really experienced is some painful periods, but even not to the extent that it's, put me in bed for,
no,
days
no,
on end. It's something that has been manageable. So, like, for women who have to deal with these, it must be very tough because, again, it's like those hormones, like you have no control over it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But you do though over your diet because the same things we were talking about for PCOS or PCOS, whatever you want to call it, is the same. Making sure your blood sugar balance. You're not eating too many sugars and starches because those are inflammatory. So again, the solution diet wise is anti-inflammatory.
Mm.
So lots of colourful fruits and veg. They've got antioxidants, phytochemicals, plant chemicals. Very good um, compounds, nutrients in them that counteract inflammation. Inflammation is basically just damage in the
Yeah.
body. Lots of omega-3 fatty acids. They are anti-inflammatory. So things like oily fish. Most of us don't eat enough oily fish. Oily fish and flax seeds, also walnuts. But oily fish are the best food to eat. Things like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, herring, trout, oysters, those kind of fish 2 to 3 times a week. It's really good for your brain as well.
Right.
Lots of olive oil, spices, anti-inflammatory spices like ginger and turmeric.
Oh, are they anti-inflammatory? Are they?
Yeah, yeah, they are. So if you're, making something, add ginger and turmeric. Especially if you're making a curry or a
Yeah.
stir fry or something. Green tea is good. It's got some anti-inflammatory compounds, ECGC. I can never remember what it stands for. And your gut health is important too. So all the fruit and veg comes in here as well.
Mm.
So things to avoid as well. We talked about sugars and starch, anything that you react to, intolerant to, like if you think you're intolerant to dairy, trans fats, bad fats, anything that's been processed too much, burnt and brown food, excess alcohol, gluten if you think you're sensitive to it, all of these things. It
There's
could be
lots.
causing inflammation, damaging your body. Could be.
And I guess
Some
with
of yeah,
is it key to, I guess, trying to reduce as much inflammation within that area within the body as possible to help manage what you may be
yeah,
feeling throughout these.
yeah. I mean, really all illness is caused by some kind of inflammation in the body,
Mm.
something that's not, excuse me, something that's not working properly. You know, being alive, all the processes that are going on are causing inflammation. But if you're eating a good diet, it's manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've actually got a friend who, I mean, he's a bloke. He's been suffering with so many illnesses, like to the point that he used to be able to play football. He can't do that now. And I think he had some sort of, I don't know, bacteria in his gut. I'm not 100% sure, but like he is, we're worried for him, you know what I mean? But he's actually got help from like a nutritionist, and now he's changing his diet.
Oh,
He
great.
he can like, and he, I mean, his diet was horrendous. Like we're talking Lucozades, like doesn't eat a lot of healthy foods or vegetables. But he
Yeah,
got to the point where like his life was impacted so much negatively, like he couldn't play, he can't play any of the sports that he used to play anymore because of like how he's feeling and his body kind of shutting down, so to speak. And now that he's working with this nutritionist and including some vegetables and
yeah,
including more protein,
yeah,
that it's been a long road, but he can actually see a difference. Like he's starting to feel better again. And I'm hoping that now that he's finally, got help and is actually changing like the way he eats, that maybe one day he will be able to get back to playing those sports again. But it just shows you how much of an impact making sure you get good food into your diet can ultimately help you probably go from like a really shitty position potentially in terms of your
yeah, absolutely,
body
absolutely.
to feeling healthy again, because like that's all we want to do. We did I mean like we all know how shitty we feel when we're ill or we're sick. Like so why not try and do everything you possibly can to make sure that you can limit those times, and eating healthy food is delicious. Like it doesn't have to be boring, and it doesn't
No,
have to be expensive either. Like
no, absolutely not. I just think there's just, you're so right. And it's such a shame that, there's not more discussion
mm,
about around the impact of what you're eating and what it has on your health. And that people, it's easy, the go-to is go to the doctor, get a pill,
yeah.
rather than let me look at what I'm putting into my body. Because doctor, it just so frustrates me, and I just find it appalling because the pills are not the answer
No. And I
in
think
most cases, not all cases.
yeah. I think like people probably think it's not as simple as just changing your diet. Well, probably because that is hard for a lot of people to do. And it is probably easier in their mind to just go to the doctor and the doctor give them this pill and that's all they have to do.
Yeah,
But like, when you eat a healthy diet and you make sure you have your fruits, your vegetables, you have your proteins, you notice a massive difference in my energy is through the roof when I'm eating really good. And
yeah,
every I've had weeks where maybe I was busy and I wasn't prepared enough and I was just eating probably crap. And then I'm just like, it's not really setting myself up for success at all.
no, you're not. And again, it's there's just not enough education around the importance of diet. And if we got people's diets right, we could do all sorts of things. We could reduce the impact on the NHS and the chronic health
Mm.
burden and all sorts of things. But, it's just the world's not, doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
I know there's so much food available. Like I was even when I was grocery shopping yesterday, like I even like thought to myself, I was like, there is so much, even just the bread aisle, and then you have all the cakes, and then
I
you have
know,
like the crumpets, and then like
I
cup,
know.
and I'm just like, how is this possible? Like, there's just so many different kinds of things that
Yeah,
people have options to. No wonder they'll go for it. I mean, it's delicious. It is.
exactly, because the food companies make a lot of money out of them. And they've got huge budgets and they do a lot of research on what is delicious. And there's like a bliss point between fat and sugar that is just, like taking drugs for the human brain. And
Mm,
that combination of fat and sugar is very rarely found in nature, but it can be found occasionally. But so that the food manufacturers, that's what they do. They know it's addictive. They don't care whether you're healthy or not. They just want to make money.
yeah, that is
So,
true. How
and
what does
yeah,
your diet like look like? Do you know what I mean? Like what is a day of eating for you?
Okay, well, not today because I'm doing these Zoe tests and
Oh
I've had
yeah,
5 muffins and I absolutely hate muffins. So,
five
so
muffins is excessive.
and well, they're specific. You have to eat them and log them, and
Mm,
because I guess they want to see because I'm monitoring my blood sugar.
yeah,
The reason why I've been reading about them, they're a specific combination of fat, protein, and carbs. And I guess because everybody that's doing the study, if everybody eats the same thing for breakfast and lunch, and then they can monitor your results, they can see your reaction.
yeah.
Because if we all had something different for breakfast, you wouldn't be able to compare. They wouldn't, for their studies anyway, they wouldn't be able to compare me to anybody else.
Mm,
And then in another hour, I'm going to do a blood test to see how I respond to fats. Anyway, so not today. Today's not normal. So normally, my normal day is that in the morning, I have something that's called a hybrid latte when I get up. So it's some coffee,
mm.
proper normal coffee I make on the stove with almond milk, almond butter. I put my collagen in it. I have a pinch of cinnamon. I have a teaspoon of raw cacao powder. I have 3 teaspoons of MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides, and put my collagen in it. And then I whiz it up in my NutriBullet, and then I heat it up and I drink that. So I've got that's my breakfast. That keeps me going until lunchtime.
Mm. That's interesting. That's a lot. That's a lot in one drink.
Yeah, I know, but it's got all these good nutrients in them. They all do different things, and it's keeping me full. And so I have that in the morning, most mornings, and then at lunchtime, I will have a massive salad. I
Mm.
have a salad nearly every day, unless I'm unwell, and so I've got as many different things on it. So I always put watercress, mixed leaves, because the mixed leaf salad bags, they've got multiple things in them. So I put cucumber, apple, avocado, sprouted lentils, sprouted broccoli shoots, um, and pomegranate seeds.
Oh, yum.
And then I have some protein, whatever my protein's going to be, like smoked mackerel or tin of tuna or piece of chicken or some feta cheese or some goat's cheese or something. And then I drizzle it with extra virgin olive oil. I put apple cider vinegar on it. I put some pepper on it, and then I put some mixed seeds on top of that.
That sounds delicious. I love a salad. Like if
So
I
I've got all of those. So I've got like more than 10 different fruit, veg, seeds, nuts. So that's part of my, 10 to 15 a day. Oh my
sounds
God.
delicious. It
Yeah,
sounds bloody
it
great.
is. It is. I'll send you a photo. So I have that. That's my lunch. And then in the evening, it depends what I'm doing, but like last night I had a piece of salmon baked in the oven with sweet potato roasted. And then I also put in the oven some kale to make it crispy.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, different stuff. In the evening I try and make different things and mix it up a
Mm.
bit.
All sounds delicious though, and that's the thing. You can eat healthy and enjoy your food. It
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
have to be boring at all.
no,
But obviously, you got to put a bit of effort into it, don't you? But like having a salad, if I had to pick salad or just veggies for the rest of my life, I'd always have a salad because I bloody
me
love it.
too. And
But
it's so easy because
yeah,
you just get stuff out of the fridge and you just assemble it. There's no cooking involved. That's why I do because I live by myself, and
mm,
and I love it. As long as you've got some good protein on there and you've got some good fats, your some extra virgin olive oil and whatever, then yeah, it's so good.
and also it doesn't cost an arm and a leg as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
No,
if you do a few
no,
servings.
yeah.
Now let's get into summer. I'll probably be more inclined to do a few more salads. But I guess I like at home back in Australia, we had salads all the time.
Mm.
We would have salad with our fish and chips, whereas you guys over here have bloody peas or something with your
Oh
fish.
yeah, peas. I don't like mushy peas, but I do like peas. I love
Yeah.
peas. Yeah. So
Oh,
so yeah, so that's my average day. And sometimes if I don't want the latte, I'll have some berries and some kefir yogurt and some
mm.
nut seeds and flax seeds on it. So
Is that like? Would you have that as a snack potentially?
No, no, I might have it as a breakfast, or sometimes if I'm not really hungry, like if I've my day's been different, I've been out for lunch. Yeah,
Mm.
because I really like going out for Sunday
Oh yeah.
lunches on Sundays, obviously. So sometimes, so because I've had all these horrible muffins today, I was thinking, when I can eat something normal later, I need something clean. So I've
Mm,
just got a load of frozen berries out of the freezer, and I've just put them in a bowl for them to defrost. So my first proper meal this today is going to be the berries with some natural yogurt. Well, it's kefir yogurt because it's got the fermented cultures in, good for your gut, with
yeah.
some nuts and some flax seeds. Yeah, that. And I might not need anything else today. I don't know. We'll see.
After
See
those
how hungry I
muffins.
feel. See how hungry I feel later. Yeah,
Yeah. I actually tried today because I'm trying to remove a lot of dairy.
yeah,
I tried Alpro like natural yogurt, and I
yeah.
was pleasantly surprised how okay it tasted because I
Oh,
had it with
really? Okay.
blueberries. I was expecting it to be quite bitter
Yeah,
because, well, I mean, I'm just making assumptions here. Basically, it's made off soy, and I feel like I've tried soy milk once before and I bloody hated it. So I'm
yeah.
like, I'm proper prepping myself to have not a delicious yogurt. Actually surprised by it. I'm
How
I'm
good.
I'm
Yeah,
happy to continue that journey.
yeah. I don't like it. I mean, that's why I go for the kefir yogurt. So it is obviously made from cow's milk, but it's got cultures in it. So it could potentially be not as inflammatory if you're a bit, if you're a bit sensitive to dairy
Mm.
because it's got all these good microbes in it, but it's
Is
not
it
for everybody.
it doesn't have like kind of good bacteria in it, Helen?
Yeah, yeah. So kefir is fermented. So anything fermented is good for your gut microbiome, your gut microbes, gut bacteria. So it's helping, stimulate good bacteria, healthy.
Mm.
So I love it. I love it. And kefir is quite sour, but I quite like not sour, but on the sour side. It's definitely not sweet like muffins, and it's definitely not sweet like sweetened yogurt. So, but I like it. You see, I like that taste.
I'll have to
So,
give it a go because I'm now trying all these new things.
well,
Why
it's good to
not?
try new things.
Yeah. And
Have you,
like,
yeah. Have you tried coconut yogurt?
no, but I do have one in the fridge. So I bought two because I wanted to experiment, hoping
Yeah.
that something would work. Because I used to just eat like those regular protein yogurts.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just trying little things like to reduce the dairy to see if
Yeah.
it does help at all. Um, and again, it's all kind of like a trial and error with anything, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, how long are you going to reduce? Take it out for a couple of weeks and see if you
Mm.
notice a difference.
Yeah, so I've started as of this week.
Yeah.
Because I know like I'm not going to see a difference in a day or two. It's like,
No.
you know what I mean? It's like when you make any change or weight loss, like you can't
Yeah.
expect results to
No.
happen overnight because you
Uh,
give your body time to adapt, don't you?
yeah. At least 2 weeks, preferably a month, to give it a try for.
Yeah.
Um.
And you know what?
Yeah.
It wasn't as hard as I thought because I was like, oh, how am I going to get like a lot of my protein in? Because well, I was relying on my dairy,
Yeah.
but I'm having eggs now.
Yeah. Of course.
Like, I still have my chicken, so it's not like I'm going vegetarian, which could make it slightly harder. But yeah, having eggs, I'm just having non-dairy yogurt.
Yeah, and you can add some nuts and seeds in there for some extra protein and healthy fats.
Yeah, I've still been able to hit my protein like target, which was great. I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be a lot more difficult, so it can be done.
Yeah. Eggs are wonderful for anybody that wants to switch and stop eating, especially for breakfast. Well, I mean, they're great any time of the day, but because most people in this country tend to eat some kind of cereal for breakfast,
Mm,
even muesli, or granola, which can be really sugary. So
yeah,
eggs are just such a great alternative because they make you feel full and they've got loads of good nutrients in them, and
yeah.
when you feel full and stay fuller longer. Um, yeah, definitely to be recommended. Eggs.
Yeah. I just boil the eggs and have them as a snack now. But yeah, the thing with cereal, I'll have oats or porridge oats because that is what would keep anyone feeling full. Whereas
Yeah,
cereals, they a lot of the time people don't have one serving, they probably have three, and
Oh, yeah,
then it
I
goes
know.
from them thinking they're having 100 calories to 400 potentially, and then it doesn't leave you feeling full like if you were to have eggs or porridge or something like that. So again,
No,
it's trying to make uh, better decisions, to make sure that you are staying full throughout the day, because that's when you're more likely to, just snack on random stuff in your car.
yeah, exactly. Because most of the cereals have got very little nutrients in them, or they've got added nutrients, but it's all starchy stuff, So there's nothing really good in there.
No.
And the guy that created cereals, Mr. Kellogg, he was a bit of a weirdo.
What's it?
He invented cornflakes and all of those, and then obviously it went from there because he thought that eating protein was led people to masturbate.
What?
And yes, I know, sorry, but I don't know if you want to talk about this on your
No.
podcast.
Interesting
But
facts.
and and obviously, encourage people to have sex. So he was very anti-sex. So apparently, but this is a bit crazy story. It's true, by the way. He never had sex, but so he adopted his children. So obviously somebody had to have sex
Yeah.
to have kids so that he could adopt. But anyway, so yeah, he was a bit of a weirdo. Um, yeah, so he thought protein was bad for you. So that's one of the reasons why he created cornflakes.
You learn something new every day. Hey, I would never have known that. But thank you. That's definitely an interesting fact.
I
Oh,
know.
um, right. Is there anything else that like we haven't spoken about? Because I know you said you made a few notes.
I think I've yeah, I mean it's so essentially both of these, PCOS and endometriosis are both uh, uh, conditions caused by a hormonal imbalance. One of them, so PCOS is more, you've got an imbalance and you tend to have more, to summarize, more androgen testosterone, so more male hormone, and endometriosis more or higher estrogen,
Mm,
so which is known as the female hormone, even though men have estrogen as well.
right. And it all kind of correlates to, exercise, what you're
Yeah,
filling your body with,
yeah, yeah,
stress, sleep.
yeah. Manage your, don't eat too many sugary, starchy carbs. Manage, lots of fruit and veg. Manage your weight, exercise, sleep, manage stress. Yeah, avoid chemicals. Yeah,
Avoid, avoid chemicals. I'll probably be thinking about that now when I'm putting on
yeah,
my face and washing my hair with.
yeah. Well, I mean, you can buy products that say no parabens and no SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Um,
Is that what it would say, or is it like anything eco-friendly?
No, not anything. No, but you have to look for them. So, most of the products in the shops are ones that contain those. So you have to go and look for the ones that
Mm,
say. And just because something's organic doesn't mean to say that it's hasn't got them in either. So
yeah.
organic isn't necessarily, unless it says specifically that it doesn't have parabens or SLS, it might have. So
Mm,
you have to spend a long time looking at packaging,
yeah.
looking at packaging.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I don't buy anything organic. You know what I mean? Maybe this is something I probably need to look into more, but I don't buy anything organic.
Yeah, I mean, I buy as much organic as I can in the fresh fruit,
Mm,
because it will have less pesticides and chemicals on it.
right.
Um, and also in when it comes to, things like eggs and chicken, and meat, if it's organic and it's fed on grass, it's grass reared, it
Mm,
has a better profile of good fats in it, rather than if they're intensively reared animals and they're fed on grains
oh yeah.
that are inflammatory. So
Wow.
yeah, I know it's a whole minefield. It's a whole minefield, and a lot of it obviously depends on budget as well. What you
Mm,
can afford. Um, so yeah, it's a whole scale of where you want to start. But I'm a nutritionist, so you would expect me to be
yeah.
knowing about this stuff and hopefully doing most of the right things most of the time.
Of course. Most of the time, eh? You got to treat yourself every now and again, though.
Yeah, exactly,
Oh, brilliant.
definitely.
Well, Thank you so much for coming on yet again.
You're
Um,
welcome.
and I'm sure we're going to put together another podcast on another topic that I can grill you on,
Yeah, absolutely.
all your knowledge. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on again. I really, really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
No worries. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Chelsea. Bye. Bye.